Hey you guys, it's me, Laura. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, ages 5, 10, and 12. And today I'm going to share with you my literature choices for my 10-year-old who will be in 5th grade this year. So for us, literature time is one-on-one reading with each of my kids, kind of like a book club style reading. I try to focus on books that are highly interesting to them, as well as I'll pull in a few every once in a while that I think would be good to stretch their repertoire. But it is a chance for us to spend time together one-on-one reading, and I will also use that time to work on individual skills that they might need work on, whether it be writing, grammar, spelling, those kinds of things. We will work on those on an individual level, and I'll sometimes pull in other resources to help with that as well. The main thing that I'm working on during that time is critical thinking. So we do lots of discussion, lots of talking. We will sometimes expand the literature and learn about some of the things that it's talking about, whether it be current events, whether it be places that we're learning about. So it's really a time to work with each child one-on-one, to build those critical thinking skills, and to hone in on individualized skills with each child, language arts skills. So that is what I do with literature. I like to have a wide variety of books. Sometimes I will tie in what they're doing with literature with our main unit study, not always. This year some of the units that we're going to be doing are going to be a little more challenging to do that with. But if I'm going to do that, I will just pull those in. I don't necessarily plan for those because I'm not always sure what units we're going to be doing during the year. I always have a plan, but it's very much led by what makes sense at the time. And I do want to preface this by saying this is a massive stack. I do not plan to get through all of this. A few of these have rolled over from last year that we didn't get to, and some of them will roll over to next year. Some of them will end up just saying, look, no, he's not interested in that, we're not even going to try. But I like to have options, but I like to have a set stack so that I don't have to just start from scratch every time we're ready to start a new lit book. So this is what we're going with. This past year we had been reading through the Chronicles of Narnia, and we still have left the Silver Chair and The Last Battle. So we're going to be reading those. We usually read about 2 at a time, and we use the Nat Read novel studies from Teachers Pay Teachers. So we'll do 2 at a time and then usually take a break and do something else. We finished Prince Caspian as our last unit, but we have been kind of on break since then, so he may want to go back to this, or he may want to do The Player King, which is in here, which is another one that he was interested in. So we'll decide. I've got both of them prepped and ready to go, so we'll just do whichever one he wants to do next. So this is one from last year that we did not get to. It's called Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. I really want to be including a lot more Asian studies and African and Middle Eastern studies. Those are not things that are easy to come by. Also, South American studies, all of those areas are much harder to find resources on, so whenever I can pull them in, I will. This one is very highly acclaimed, so I definitely have this in our list. This is Tuck Everlasting. This came with our lightning literature that we started last year but didn't end up finishing, so I went ahead and kept it on the list. It's a nice quick read, so it's good for if we need a really fast unit. But this is another classic that is on so many of the book lists for this age. This one is The Dreamer, and this was from Lightning Lit, but I don't remember which age this one went with. If it was with the one for Samuel last year or the one for Timothy, I don't remember. But this is about Nefalti, which is really cool because he's a Chilean poet, and we this year went to go visit our cousins in Chile. My husband's sister is married to an Irish diplomat, and they were stationed in Chile, so we got to go there, and so having that background a little bit is going to make this even more interesting. So I definitely have this in the stack. This is another classic, The Wind in the Willows. I was going to do this with my oldest last year, but he already listened to the audio, and he said he'd listened to it like 3 times, and he didn't really want to study it again. So we're going to try and maybe do this with my middle, and my oldest prefers realistic fiction, and my middle prefers fantasy with animals and things. So this might be a better fit for him, so we're going to try it, see. This is one that I read to them, oh goodness, years ago when we were doing My Father's World, Exploring Countries and Cultures. We read this as a read aloud for Canada. I don't think that Timothy remembers it, so I put this in the list. I think he's gonna enjoy it. It's about these animals who go on a quest through Canadian wilderness to find their owner, and it's super good. And of course, if we do this, we're gonna watch the movie Homeward Bound because you just have to, right? You just have to. This one I did with my oldest when he was in 5th grade, and he really loved it, and I think Timothy will as well. This was actually the first one that my oldest read independently, but I will be reading it with Timothy because I think that this is better suited for that. And also with any of these books, I may end up just reading them with Timothy, so he reads to me some to work on his fluency. So any of these books could also turn into that kind of book, and if it's that kind of a book, we don't do any extra activities with it or anything. He just reads it to me we buddy read, we have fun reading together. So we have those two kind of reading times because he's in that transitional phase where he really needs to build more confidence and fluency in his reading, but he doesn't need specific reading instruction. So there's that. This is another one I thought he would enjoy, another classic, Ben and Me, about Benjamin Franklin. And this one also has a movie that goes with it. This might be a good one for him to read to me. We'll see. But he really likes the Revolutionary time period, so you'll see a few books from there. In here, his favorites are the Revolutionary time period. He loves the Middle Ages, and he also really loves ancient Rome. So you might see some of those themes in these books. This one is The Bridge Home. I read this book. I absolutely loved it. I read it with my oldest, and he really enjoyed it. So I'm also going to try to read it with Timothy. But this is about some orphans in India, and basically they're homeless and they're trying to survive, and it's really, really good. So definitely recommend this one. This one is The Hatchet by Gary Paulton. I honestly am not a huge fan of this book. People tend to either love this one or hate it. There are so many people who this book was the book that made them love reading. My oldest really enjoyed this one. I think that because there's some graphic parts in it, my middle will do best reading this with me. I will get through it for him if he likes it. If he doesn't like it, I'm not going to force him to finish it. It's about this boy who has a plane crash and the pilot dies and he's by himself trying to survive. And I mean, it's just a classic survival tale. So we'll see if this one is a win or lose for Timothy. So this is the one I mentioned earlier by Avi. It's The Player King. Avi is one of my favorite authors. I absolutely love his work. And this one is after King Henry VII had ascended to the throne. Anyway, there was a time period in which the crown was kind of a little bit sus. Like they weren't sure who was going to get it. So this orphan came and said that he was the rightful king, and he ended up being king for a day. Anyway, I don't want to ruin it. It's really cool. It's based on historical fact. It's set during the medieval time period. I'm not usually interested in all of this history about the kings and the throne and overthrowing and all of this. Of course, my son very much is, but this was written in such an interesting way. It really made me want to understand more about what happened with this event in history. But it's definitely one I think we'll enjoy together. This is Friendle, Andrew Clements. This is a classic. I think this is another one that would be a quick read. He wasn't super into it this last year, so I might not be able to get it. If this one doesn't end up getting read, it's not a big deal, but I thought I would try. It's about a boy who is playing with words, basically, which I think, honestly, Timothy would really enjoy this concept. So we'll see. We'll see if we'll read it or not. This is another one that we read a long time ago with Exploring Countries and Cultures, and this is The Family Under the Bridge. It's set in France. Oh my goodness, you guys, it's such a sweet story. So this one might be really good to read around Christmas time. I like having Christmassy reads, so that's why I kept it in here. Again, I don't think he really would remember it because he was so little when we did it before, so I thought I would pull this one out again. We watched this movie and he really enjoyed it. We're also reading together right now. For him reading to me, we're reading The Tale of Despero by Kate DiCamillo, and I think that this might be another good one for that, or it might be a fun one for us to do together for lit. We'll kind of play with it and see, but I definitely think that he'll want to read this one. Usually I do not let them watch the movie before they read the book, but we had a special occasion and it was a movie that we felt like would be not too stressful for any of the family members, so we watched it, but I definitely want him to read it as well. And then this is another one. He is like me when I was younger, especially I did not like poetry. I always felt bad about it because my dad is a published poet, but I've just not been a poetry fan. However, as I've gotten older and as I've learned to kind of let myself relax more, I enjoy it a lot more. I've always loved songs and song lyrics, which is a form of poetry, but never just to read by itself. So this is Love That Dog, which is about a boy who does not like poetry. So my oldest read this book and he absolutely loved it, but he really enjoys poetry a lot. So I'm really going to try, this might be one that, I mean, it is so short because it's all poems. It might be one that I just really tried to get my son to read, whether he wants to or not. This next set is a trilogy, and it is by Rosemary Sutcliffe, and it's the Roman Briton trilogy. And I think one of these is included in the Book Shark part for Ancient Rome. I actually listened to all three of these on audio, and they're ones that I feel like my son would really enjoy, but they're a little bit advanced, so I don't know that he would be able really to read these on his own, which is part of why lit is so good. I can read stuff that's at their cognitive level with them, but that's above their reading level. These can be read in order, but they don't have to be. Each story is standalone, but they're ancestors from people in the previous stories, and it covers a very large part of Roman history. I didn't feel like the other kids would enjoy it because I think they would find it a little bit slow. My favorite was the Eagle, actually, the first one. This was definitely my favorite. I enjoyed the characters in this one a lot more and really connected with it. I felt like I liked them less as they went on, but the Lantern Bearer is the one that I see the most, which is interesting because I didn't enjoy it as much, which was really, I thought that was interesting. But I think that he might enjoy these, especially if we read them together and can talk about it and take time to look some stuff up. So I definitely included these in the stack. This is a great classic, The Great Mouse Detective. We have a few of these. I'm not sure what he'll think of them, but I definitely thought that it would be a great option. Again, if we read this, we will watch the old Disney cartoon that goes with it, which is always fun. And then we have the Wild Robot. Oh, I actually pulled the wrong one here. This is supposed to be the first Wild Robot. This is the Wild Robot Escapes. This is the second one in the series. I don't know how he'll do with this and if he'll really be interested, but I really enjoyed reading these with my oldest. I guess we'll see. And there's a third book. I don't know if it just came out or if it's coming out soon. So there's going to be a whole trilogy, which is really fun. So we'll see. We'll see on this one. This is another Avi book set during the Revolutionary War. This is called Loyalty. This is, I think, his latest release. He has another one coming out later this year. I don't remember if you saw me talk about The Secret School, which was our read aloud for our, I think it was our 1920s unit. And so the sequel to that is coming out, which we're super excited about. So that's really fun. But this one is about the Revolutionary War, and the main character is really seeing all the things that are being done by the British and the Americans and trying to decide, like, where his loyalty lies. Is he British? Is he American? Which side does he agree with? What does he think about all the things that he understands and resonates with on both sides, but at the same time, all the things that he doesn't? And his father is actually killed for being a Tory, I believe. I might be getting that wrong. It's been a while since I've read it. But his father's killed for his stance. And so his question is, do I believe what my father believes or do I believe something else? It's really good. But it's a little bit heavy. Again, I think this is one that he would struggle with on his own, but I think it'll be perfect for us to read together. This is one that I know very little about, but it's on all the lists. It's Homer Price, and we have it. And so I thought I would throw it in here because, you know, maybe it's a good one. It's actually one that seems like it would appeal to my older son a little bit more, but it looks really fun and quirky, which sometimes my middle likes as well. So I thought we'd try it here. And the last one is a series that is definitely too advanced for him to read by himself, but he really likes fantasy. He loves the Green Ember series. He also really likes a lot of the Minecraft stuff. He really loves that kind of fantasy that has chivalry and knights and all of that kind of stuff. So I thought that I would try him on the Redwall series. So I wanted him to listen to this, but he really does not like the narrator, and it is definitely too advanced for him to read by himself. So I thought that this might be a good one for us to tackle together. If we don't get to it this year, that's okay. This will be good, I mean, through 8th grade and even high school. I think it would be a perfectly appropriate read. So if we don't get to this one, we'll keep it on the shelves, but I definitely wanted to have it available, and I also have the second one. I got them both really cheap on Book Outlet, so I just have book 1 and 2 ready to go. And there's a whole lot of these, so if he really likes it, I think this is another world that he could get lost in that I think that he would really enjoy. So those are the books that I have picked out for my 5th grader for literature for this year. I would love to know your thoughts on any of these. Which ones look the most interesting to you? Which ones have you read? Did you like them? Did you not like them? I would love to hear all your thoughts in the comments below, and I will be doing another video of these for my 7th grader, but not all of his books are in yet, so I'm going to hold off on that until waiting for one shipment from Book Outlet to come in, and then I will share his as well, and I will be sharing more videos with you over the next little bit, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.